This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, it's the Friday News Roundup, and what was that fire? Also, Dane County beaches are getting a new pilot study for beach health, and Madison Mallard's Recovery Night is coming up next Tuesday. What you need to know there with a very special guest. Plus, for our Neighbors Only segment, all the beagles rescued from Ridgeland Farms, put in the care of Dane County Humane Society, have found homes. We're going to kiki about it. Joining me today is our executive producer, Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, and I'm thinking about The Office, and now I can't think of the song. Somebody started the fire. Might be inappropriate.
Didn't start the fire.
The fire's burning. What the heck? What was that fire on Tuesday afternoon? If you saw big, black, thick smoke over the city, that was coming from the east side. It was reported to be seen miles away from even across the lake. So I'm bringing the story. But first off, Haley, did you see any of the commotion or hear about this happening when it happened? I know we're like at work.
I mean, honestly, it's nuts. Like I must have been just so locked in on podcast mode because this fire happened kind of dangerously close to where I live and I knew nothing about it. So I'm excited and a little bit terrified to learn more from what you're going to tell me. But then I started seeing on like the Sassy Facebook group, like the neighborhood Facebook page, that things were going down and it looked scary.
Things were going down. Luckily, we had first respondents. I'll give you all the details. But yeah, Madison Kip Corporation's North Production Facility site caught fire. That's over on South Fair Oaks, across the street on Fair Oaks from Garver Feed Mill, for a point of reference in that area. As background, Madison Kip Corp makes aluminum die casts, parts for cars and lawn equipments. And as you mentioned, this was quite the scene. I know personally, my partner on his commute saw the smoke when he walked through the door. He looked very alarmed and said there's a lot happening, and saw a bunch of first responders headed to the scene. So there were flames coming from one of the building's smokestacks. WKOW had a video from a neighbor filming that if you want to see it, because it's actually quite the sight. And over 75 Madison Fire Department personnel responded to the fire. 75. Not your everyday fire. When they got there, they knew there was more fire in the building, but first they needed MG&E to turn off the power to be safe. So once they de-electrified the scene, according to Channel 3000, crews started cutting up the roof and, quote, opened up about 50 feet of roof in order to reach flames and smoke. So it was a big deal.
That's terrifying. I feel like I'm just thinking about this now. I feel like we have made you our disaster reporter. Like the last time you were talking about accidents happening at construction sites, and now we're talking about this big fire. And I don't know if you were here in Madison for it, but it's kind of reminding me of that time that there was that big fire, like a big explosion over at MG&E, and like everyone lost their minds because, you know, right off of East Wash, there were these plumes of smoke coming up, and it looked like apocalyptic, and people could feel the booms and were genuinely terrified, like what is going on. And it's reminiscent of that moment in time for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I was here for that. The event sounds familiar, but it is something that you don't mess with, and fire spreads. It is getting hotter out, and just like obviously it makes you think about fire safety yourself and what you need to do if you are in a workplace or anything goes down. I know the city has been doing some trainings around that. And as background, the corporation itself, I didn't know much about it, but it's been around for 128 years, or more than 128 years. So this is a long time corp here, and luckily no one was hurt, which is incredible. Employees, visitors to the plants, partners were all evacuated and accounted for, and the response wrapped up around 7:20-ish. So a few hours, and it was handled. And I know this is not a funny thing, and I started singing about fires on the way in. It's pretty serious. And I learned that there's a new CEO of the company, Brian Sampson, and he'd only been on the job for 6 weeks. So that's quite an entrance. Baptized by fire is what came to mind. Having to deal with that problem. 128-year-old company and 6 weeks in. Womp.
That is a big old yikes for Mr. Bryan. I do not envy that. I'm looking it up too, and this MG&E explosion happened back in 2019, so which feels like last year to me, but in more real terms was closer to 7 years ago.
Right.
But that is. It's wild, though. Like, these things, I want to say, these things don't happen in Madison, but like, they really don't happen in Madison, right? Because the last time I can think of this is an occasion in 2019. And I guess that's good. You know, we're generally safe. And I guess it's not good PR in any reason for the KIPP Corporation, but this is actually the first time that I'm learning about them or learning more in depth about who they are and what they do. So that's kind of interesting. Didn't really know that we had this industrial factory right in the neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we can be a little bit more lighthearted about this story because thank God no one was hurt. Like, that would have been horrific. And shout out to the 75 firefighters and first responders that you said went out there on the scene. Honestly, shout out to them every day for the work that they do.
Yes, that is where we're going to end that segment, which is thank you to our first responders, the Madison Fire Department. Glad everyone is safe. We've got more news to get into this week. It has warmed up, and if you're thinking about jumping into the lakes, we've got some news for you there. Before we get into that, let's take a quick break. All right, it's time for our weekly segment, Banking Outside the Box with Oak Bank, with the sponsor of this episode, Oak Bank. It's your opportunity to get your banking and financial questions answered by an expert.
Hi, this is Dan Severson with Oak Bank, Vice President of Mortgage Banking. And the question for today is, if I don't want to refinance my mortgage, what can I use to tap into the equity in my home? If you don't want to refinance your mortgage but still need access to cash, there's another option worth knowing about. It's called a home equity line of credit, or HELOC. A HELOC lets you borrow against the equity in your home without replacing your current mortgage. So if you're locked into a low interest rate over the past couple years, you don't have to give that up. Instead of taking one lump sum, a HELOC works more like a credit line. You can draw funds as you need them, pay interest only on what you use, and reuse the line as you pay it down. That flexibility makes it useful for things like home improvements, managing larger expenses, or consolidating higher interest debt. Now, unlike a fixed rate loan, HELOCs typically have variable rates, so your payment can change over time. But for many homeowners, the trade-off is access and control. It's your equity, you built it over time. A HELOC simply gives you a way to use it without starting your mortgage over from scratch. If you'd like to learn more, reach out to us at oak.bank and put Oak Bank to work for you.
Huge thanks to Oak Bank for sponsoring this segment. If you've got a banking or financial question, hit the link in the show notes. You might even hear it answered in an upcoming episode. Oak Bank, Equal Housing Lender Member, FDIC, NMLS number 434669. Let's go to the beach. Beach, let's go get away. Haley, what's the news today?
That was so good. Yeah, I've got some news for the beach. It's some kind of good / kind of gross news for folks who will be hitting Dane County beaches this season. Earlier this week, Public Health Madison and Dane County and Clean Lakes Alliance announced that they're going to be teaming up on a new pilot study to better understand what causes E. coli levels to increase across the Yahara chain of our lakes. So this is cool. This is new studying. This effort is in addition to all of the regular beach testing that public health already does. So some context here for folks who aren't aware. Every week from Memorial Day to Labor Day, public health tests the water at more than 24 beaches around Dane County for E. coli bacteria and blue-green algae and their toxins. So with the implementation of this new pilot program, they'll also be testing after heavy rainfalls, which is apparently when bacteria levels typically surge. So this is cool. It's like extra protections, right? And for a little bit more context here, they're focusing on E. coli specifically because according to public health, quote, it's the best indicator if there are germs in the water that can make you sick, which is good to know. And according to WMTV, this pilot study will run through early September with results expected to come out later this fall. And those findings could help really guide future efforts to improve water quality, improve water treatment, and keep our beaches open, because we know that there is genuine economic impact when beaches close. Cap Times reporter Danielle Duclos wrote about it and then came on the podcast to talk about it. We'll throw a link to that in our show notes. But Bianca, I know you love science. So what do you think about this whole new testing effort?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's really any and all the research that we can do to understand our lakes' contamination levels is really important. And it made me think about, okay, well, of course we hear about blue-green algae. We hear about E. coli a little bit less, but they occur frequently together in lakes for sure, because as we know, one of the things that helps blue-green algae blooms is agricultural runoff. And E. coli is typically coming from the digestive tracts of animals like geese and dogs and humans. So you're right. When it's like a little gross, it is. We're talking about poop moat once again, and our poop moats are our lakes. We know lakes have all of the things, but having the best understanding of how the different polluters in our area might be impacting the lakes if we have really high levels of E. coli. Not saying that we do, but just knowing our levels feels very good. I like this. I love this news.
Yeah, right? It's good and it's gross. I'm devastated we had a poop moat moment and Rob Thomas wasn't here, but it is good news. And it is, I agree with you. I feel like more information is always better, right? And we cannot do enough to study and help keep our lakes clean. And it's just always super important for folks to keep yourselves and your pets safe from harmful bacteria in the water. And there are a few ways you can do this right now, simply by signing up for public health email alerts. You can also check the Public Health Beach website for status info. And they say swim with your eyes first. Look at the water and the beach. Number one, if you see a closed sign, don't go in the water. But also if the water looks like quote unquote pea soup, or if there's gross algae visible on top of the water, just don't go in, just don't go in. It's better not to take that risk. But, we know it is beach time. Memorial Day has come and gone. It's 80 degrees out today. And I know my mind is on the beach. We just dropped our episode about whether or not we think Madison is a beach town. We had some hot takes. Bianca, are you in beach mode? Are you still in beach mode?
I woke up in beach mode. I don't know if you know that song, Beast Mode. I mean, I kind of, I love the movie Beaches. I keep beaches on the mind. If I'm not by one, I want to get near one. And I think it was definitely in the 80s this week, one of the days. And it felt like this would be a perfect day to get into some water. I did go up for the Memorial Day weekend to Sheboygan, again, on Kohler Andre State Park, and spent time on the beach. And the way it relaxes me, yes, I'm officially in beach mode. Also went to Milwaukee. So beaches on our Great Lakes, beaches in Madison, I'm ready for them. I want to be there.
I love it. I also want to be there. I did over the weekend a little lake loop, my first lake loop of the season. Took
Impressive.
Took a little bee cycle out, went around Monona. This is a gripe for another full podcast. I have a lot of beef with the lake loop. It's not a lake loop. We have to be honest. It is not a lake loop. Coming for me, from Minneapolis, where you can get on a bike and you can literally circle one of those lakes and you are basically never getting off the waterfront. Madison, it's not a lake loop. You can come at me. I will stand on this.
And Madison is not a beach town.
And Madison, some people...
We need to be honest about that. No.
I mean, yeah, lake loop, it's 20% lake, 80% $1 million houses that I dream about. But, we just dropped our episode that aired our, semi-hot takes on whether or not Madison is a beach town. And we got some responses from folks. We did ask people to call in and tell us what you think. You still can call in and tell us what you think. We're always taking feedback. But we got responses from some folks and at least one comment on Spotify. Bianca, what'd we get there?
Yeah, honestly, love this comment. It's hilarious. The debate rages on. The debate that we made up rages on. But this is from Tim L on Spotify. Tim said, having recently been to the Indiana dunes, you most certainly do not need ocean access to be a beach town. However, you do kind of need a beach, and not what B.B. Clark offers. You need longer, unbroken stretches of sand leading to water. I would say Madison is definitely a lake town, a water town, a dope summer vibes town, but it ain't a beach town. No, I made that's one of those arguments, the unbroken stretches of sand. I kind of feel like that has to be a calculus, but also, California dreaming. We're dreaming in this city. We are who we want to be.
We wish hard. Tim, I respect this take a lot. Like, I think a few of the arguments that we made in favor of Madison being a beach town may or may not be a little bit of a stretch. But, I got some feedback from my friends too, who just listen to the show. And they're like, I agree with your take. Like my take in that Madison is kind of a seasonal beach town, right? In the summer, it's got the same vibes. One of my friends also pointed out Christie's Landing, which Bianca, I know you brought up in the episode as something that really adds to Madison and our area's beach town vibes and aesthetic. And I totally agree with that. So I respect Tim L's take here. I can agree with that. Also funny that, he brings up the Indiana dunes.
Love Indiana dunes.
So much sand. And is sand beach town? I don't know. The conversation continues.
The sand is under the grass. I mean, we're a sandy county. We talked about that. I mean, we really dove in. We really did dive into it, which I absolutely love. And we've got another summer fun event with purpose to highlight. Madison Mallard's Recovery Night is coming up next Tuesday, and special guest Tom Farley has the details, so stay close. We are back, and joining me for this segment is a bit of a Madison celebrity, Tom Farley. Tom, welcome to CityCast Madison.
Yeah, don't let my family hear you say that, because I'm at the bottom of the barrel with the Farley family. But thank you. I love just, being on podcasts. I'm all over the place, but Madison, to talk about Madison, that's my favorite subject. So,
oh my gosh, and that's our whole thing.
I know, you're lucky people.
Yeah, well, and we're here to talk about something fun and important. For folks who don't know, I want to give a little more information about you. You are the author of the books Growing Up Farley and The Chris Farley Show. You founded and ran the Chris Farley Foundation, a nonprofit that focused on substance abuse prevention through humor. That's the best. And you are now the community outreach director for Recovery.com. I'm talking to you today because Recovery.com is sponsoring the Madison Mallard's Recovery Night on June 2nd, next week, alongside the Recovery Foundation. And we're going to get into the event for sure, but I do want to talk to you first about why you have spent so much time in your career talking about substance abuse recovery.
Well, thank you. And, obviously I started down this road because of this event that happened in my life when my little brother died from this disease, in a very public way. There was no hiding from it. And I knew at the time that I needed to, if I was going to have to deal with this grief and this loss, I had to talk about it, and which is something as an Irishman and a Wisconsin person, we don't like to do. We like to bury kind of those things. And I'm like, this is too big. So I started to go out, to really try to heal myself, but also to, Chris was just so loved. I'm like, how do we prevent other people, especially younger audiences that really loved Chris, how do we help them not go down that same road? And so I started talking all these years about somebody else's addiction and somebody else's story, which was helpful. But it wasn't until I really started talking about my story in my recovery that it started to make a difference for me and for others, and Chris is still part of that story. But now I just, that journey just all of a sudden got to where it really needed to be, which was not only did I need to heal from this loss, but I needed to just heal and be a better human myself. And here we are.
And the road to recovery is long, but it is better when it's shared,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah. And
yeah.
I got to tell you, and I go all over the country. I'm in California right now, but when I get to do it in Wisconsin and even in Madison like that, I mean that's a special. There's just something different in our DNA. I've kind of learned to embrace that myself, and that's what I tell people uh, in our communities. Like, why don't hide it anymore? Like we are really interesting and unique, and people still love Chris and remember Chris for. And one of my favorite things why I love him is because as big as he got, he never forgot he was Chris from Wisconsin. And I think we all, we see ourselves in that. And I just want to remind people to like, don't hide that, don't shy away.
I love it. And I really relate to it, having moved away and lived in different cities. Wisconsinites are built different. And I don't
Yeah.
know, we really
Yeah,
are.
and not only that, but like when we do go away, we find each other too. No matter where I am, I'm like, "Oh, you're from Wisconsin? Of course you are." Like we just find each other.
Yeah, and there's the humor and the depth and yeah, the connectedness because we do care about each other in our state for sure. And that's why I so much love this event and we get to highlight it cuz I didn't know too much about it before, this opportunity to chat with you. I do want to talk about recovery.com is a Madison-based startup, put simply, that really connects those in need with addiction and mental health treatment. So how did you get involved with that business and what has that work meant to you? Tell us about it. We know, shout out Scott Forrester, the chief financial officer, who is a neighbor to CityCast Madison. That's our member program and been a longtime fan, which we appreciate you, Scott.
I was working as a Wisconsin outreach person for Rosecrans, which is the treatment center in Rockford, and I was the Wisconsin guy. And they sent me out to San Diego to an industry conference about 4 years ago, and I met our head of business development, Rob Schuler, and he was telling me about this website and the startup and really cool thing. People helping people find treatment, like a TripAdvisor for treatment. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like, where are you based? And he said Madison, Wisconsin. I'm like, wait a minute. Like my hotel? Are you kidding me? I'm going back. And I went back and I never left him out of my sight. I said, I have to work here now. And what I love telling is like this global resource, web resource. It's a tech startup that could happen anywhere. It could be in Silicon Valley. It could be in Cambridge, Massachusetts, wherever tech, happens. But the fact that we built it here in Wisconsin with that DNA that I talked about, it's like we're doing it differently.
I think that Madison has a lot of reputation, certainly for being fun and also being a party town. And there's all kinds of fun to be had here. And there are folks that need assistance, when struggling with addiction. I think some of the aspects about being a Wisconsinite and not necessarily wanting to talk about it makes it hard. So having events like Recovery Night where it's out in the open, you're shining a light on this thing that like a lot of folks are going through and trying to navigate. And like I said earlier, right, it's easier to navigate in community. June 2nd is the Recovery Night at Duck Pond. What can folks expect from this special themed game?
As you said, doing it in public and really kind of letting people know that you can still have fun. Like, why take baseball away just because you want to be sober? Even if it's just for that day, for that game, like you still get to enjoy, not just the sport, but the Mallards. It is so much more than baseball. It's community. I mean, you go into the duck pond, you really get a feel for who we are as a community, and I think for people to see people enjoying that, and sober and telling it, and just doing it publicly. And I think it really helps people go there themselves. As I like to say, like recovery exists on the other side of fear. And a lot of times we don't want to go there because we fear and that we don't want to be vulnerable. But events like this kind of help people, realize that like, no, there's an amazing life on the other side. And if you can just chip away one or two people at a time, that's enough. What a gift you've given people.
Yeah.
So,
and some of those first steps are really, having to meet yourself.
Yeah.
And being with yourself all the time can be a lot. It's a beautiful thing. And it's also, you can meet yourself with other people who are doing that, be in community. I also understand the Duck Blind will be serving only NA beverages for this event for folks who are interested and thinking about that. And I do want to kind of turn to memory lane for a second, because back during the 2024 Mallard season, the team paid homage to your brother, Chris Farley's SNL character, Matt Farley, by taking the field as the motivational speakers, completed with special jerseys. That game was also a fundraiser for the Recovery Foundation. What was it like seeing that character come alive again and that evening?
We all want to be Chris. Let's be honest. He was having so much fun being Chris Farley. And like doing that, seeing the team dressed up like that and the people like that, the imitators kind of freaked me out. But other than that, it's really
I
cool.
bet that's
it's fun.
Bizarre. I bet
it's a little bizarre.
Yeah.
But
my gosh.
It's also fun. It's also, the fact that we're, 30 years later, he's still bringing joy. Like, that's all he wanted to do. And I think he's smiling. I just couldn't be more grateful for not just the Mallards, but just the whole Madison community.
Oh, yeah. And we're grateful for you, Tom, and we're grateful for your family and the legacy that Chris left. And it's funny when you said everyone wants to be Chris, I just had this memory of when I was applying for this job that I've now had for over 3 years on this podcast host. I sent an email to one of the people on the application board, and I put a picture of Chris Farley at the bottom of my email just to show that
awesome.
I'm cool. I'm fun.
Yes. Yeah. That's what he's there for.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's our Madison cred. Tom, This has been really lovely. And we just, hopefully we'll have a longer conversation together sometime in the future. But just appreciate you a lot for bringing the details about this event and recovery.com and the good works that you're doing and being open and vulnerable.
I mean, that's Madison. Like, how could we not do it? Like, we wouldn't be who we are, and who Chris was if it wasn't for Madison. And so how can we not give back? We're all in it together. And I think that's what this will show, and this joy. But also, like, really sends a message that, like, if you do need help, you can find it.
Great call out. Recovery.com, folks. Tom, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. I really love this.
All right, as we get close to the end of this episode, we have just a bit of housekeeping to do. Last week, we talked about a report from the Office of the Independent Police Monitor and said we were reaching out to the office to go deeper, wanted to bring you an update there. We did hear back from the interim monitor, Aramik Glass, and we will be bringing you a long-form interview with her later this month. And normally we'd have this moment to do member shout-outs, and neighbors, we need you to send in your shout-outs. You can find the submission form in the show notes of this episode if you're listening to the ad-free feed. Are there any events you want to highlight? Any businesses that deserve some kudos? People in the community doing things that need a little shine? Maybe your bestie is doing something rad. Let us know so we can shout them out on the Friday News Roundup. Spread the word, get more connected. And if you are not a neighbor, now is a fantastic time to join us. For just $10 a month or $100 a year, you can support the work we are doing and get access to all the perks. Events newsletter, shout-outs, neighbors-only events, and longer Friday episodes. Head to membership.citycast.fm/Madison to join us today. Alrighty, neighbors, we're going to wrap up this episode with an update on the Ridgeland Beagles. All right, this brings us to the end of the Friday News Roundup. Haley Sperling, thanks so much for rounding up the news with me this week.
I love it. See you, Bianca.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. We're produced by Jedi Siri Ramos with help this week from Alyssa Castles and Matthew Rogers. Haley Sperling is our executive producer. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor. Don't forget, you can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to the CityCast Madison newsletter. And you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Madison. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who wants to be Chris Farley? All right, it's all of us. See you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then, thanks for listening, keep laughing, and have a great weekend.